Good evening. Good evening. The board has returned from executive session and there were no actions taken. May I have a motion to open the meeting? Bill, may I have a second? Lisa, all in favor? Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we are recognizing students that represent the best of Cold Spring Harbor and make us proud. We're celebrating students who have excelled in the National Merit Scholarship Program. I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Dambuski to introduce the students and share their accomplishments.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, good. It is my pleasure this evening in front of the Board of Education, faculty, parents, and most importantly, our outstanding students to have the privilege of recognizing a truly exceptional group of young scholars who have distinguished themselves in the National Merit Scholarship Competition. This evening, we are proud to honor 4 semifinalists and 8 commended scholars from our school. These 12 students represent the pinnacle of academic achievement, placing them among the nation's most promising young minds. Their accomplishments are truly remarkable when we consider the statistics behind these accomplishments. For example, our 8 commended scholars who have demonstrated exceptional academic promise, their achievements are truly impressive. Commended scholars typically represent 34,000 high-scoring students nationwide and fall within the top 3 to 4% of all PSAT test takers. Semifinalists are truly an extraordinary feat. They are part of an elite group representing less than 1% of high school seniors nationwide. To put this into perspective, approximately 1.6 million students sat for the PSAT to enter the National Merit Scholarship Competition this year. Out of that 1.6 million, only about 16,000 students advanced to the semifinal status. Semifinals represent the top 0.5% of our state's senior students. It's important to highlight the rigorous process these students have undergone. The journey began in October of their junior year when they took the PSAT. They were selected from a pool of 1.6 million entrants, and our semifinalists now have the opportunity to compete for approximately 7,000 National Merit Scholarships, totaling nearly $28 million. These students have not only showcased their academic prowess, but also their dedication, perseverance, and intellectual curiosity. They serve as inspirations to their peers and exemplify the high standards of education we strive for in our district. As we celebrate their achievements this evening, it's also important to recognize the support that their families have played, their teachers, and our entire school community in nurturing these bright minds. Please join me in congratulating our National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars on their outstanding accomplishments. Our commended scholars, Adeus Aurora, Michelle Coles, Aiden Lima, Sebastian Monteroso, Charlie Neary, Ryan Smith, Charlotte Sekaritis, and Julia Wang. Students, if you're here, please come to the front to be recognized. Joining our commended scholars this evening, our 4 semifinalists, Ava Coco, Milan Lustig, Stephen Schmidt, and Aiden Smith. Students, please come to the front. No. Okay. Can you fit everyone?
Congratulations. Okay, West Side. Tonight we have the pleasure of hearing from the student government officers from West Side School. We look forward to them sharing with all of us the wonderful events going on in their school building. Come on up, West Side.
Good evening. I'm Teddy Turley, the West Side School Student Council President. Thank you for inviting us to speak at this month's Board of Education meeting. Our senior staff is led by me, Piper Toy, our Vice President, Jerry Spanos, our Secretary, and Sabrina Sanders, our School Treasurer. Each month, we have meetings where we meet with Mrs. Ryan and Mrs. Santoro and the elected Student Council homeroom representatives. The West Side Student Council comes up with all of the ideas that we then put into action throughout the school year. It is the responsibility of the reps to launch each school day. We lead the start of the day morning announcements during our morning assembly. I am looking forward to a wonderful year at Westside and working with my peers, teachers, Westside staff, and our school administration.
My name is Piper and I'm Vice President. During our regular meetings, we focus on the ideas that matter most to our student body. Each class has 2 representatives who play a crucial role in the process of selecting our initiatives. The reps report back to their homerooms and are tasked with rallying support and school-wide participation. Representatives also bring ideas to their classmates to our meetings, and we sometimes invite students with suggestions to share their thoughts directly. Our goal is to ensure that every voice is heard and that our actions reflect the needs and interests of all students across the school. Our message this year is, let's work together to make a positive impact at Westside.
My name is Sabrina, and I serve as the Student Council School Treasurer. We're thrilled to announce a significant change this year. Westside is now home to Universal Pre-K for the first time. We are delighted to welcome our youngest learners and their families to our school community. The Student Council is tasked with promoting and connecting our monthly school-wide themes. We believe these themes help to continuously foster a sense of unity and excitement throughout the school. Check out this slide to see the school-wide themes we have planned for this year. We can't wait to see how these themes inspire our students and community.
Hi, my name is Jerry, and I serve as the Student Council Secretary. September is designated as our School Success Month, and we kicked off the year with enthusiasm. Dr. Barnes introduced the concept of SMART goals, challenging all community members to raise the bar even higher to support our school's culture of kindness and our overall performance outcomes. We were reminded to adopt a growth mindset, strive for continuous improvement, and to embrace the power of yet. In addition, we held a moment of reflection on September 11th, Patriot Day, to honor those who lost their lives on that tragic day. Students and staff wore red, white, and blue as a sign of respect for our country and to commemorate this important occasion. September was also a time for connection during Start With Hello Week, a national initiative aimed at fostering new friendships and creating a sense of belonging among the youth. We kicked off the week with an inspiring assembly led by Dr. Barnes and Miss Latham. To encourage new friendships, students changed seats in the cafeteria, sparking conversations and connections. Throughout the week, we engaged in various hello activities, projects, and watched videos promoting kindness and community. On Wednesday, we wore green to symbolize our collective unity. We concluded the week with a kindness chain, wrote letters to our teacher expressing our appreciation, and enjoyed book readings and other fun activities.
The Student Council played a pivotal role in generating excitement for the Remembrance Bowl held at the high school on Friday, September 27th. Dr. Barnes shared educational videos about D-Day and other significant events from that era, providing valuable insights for our students. In classrooms, students engaged in fun activities and discussions related to these historical events. Each class, with the creative guidance of our art teacher, Ms. McLaughlin, crafted beautiful patriotic bags adorned with meaningful designs. These bags were proudly displayed, lit up, and lined up during the Remembrance Night.
We took a moment to honor a beloved member of the Westside community, Miss Hetty Astor, who passed away 9 years ago. Her legacy continues to inspire us all. To commemorate her memory, students and faculty wore bright colors and tie-dyed shirts, celebrating the joy and warmth she brought to our school. Miss Astor's spirit lives on in our hearts of those who knew her, and we are forever grateful for the impact she had on our community.
We held our first meeting of the school year. It was a productive session filled with exciting ideas and collaborative discussions. After thoughtful deliberation, the council unanimously decided to launch a fundraiser for the Susan G. Komen Foundation. We're thrilled to contribute to this important cause. Students will get creative and showcase their artistic talents by creating Halloween-themed dioramas. Each entry will help raise funds. We can't wait to see all of the student body's creativity shine for a great cause.
Our beloved pie and bread sale is back. Students are encouraged to sell delicious homemade pies and breads to raise money for St. Jude's Research Hospital. We also invite all board members to support this cause by purchasing these tasty treats.
On October 2nd, we took a moment to recognize and celebrate our fantastic custodial staff at Westside and across the district. The student body was thrilled to see wonderful changes made throughout our school over the summer, thanks to the hard work and dedication of our custodians and building and grounds team members. From the lunchroom floor to the refreshed faculty room and renovated student bathrooms, their efforts have made a significant impact on improving our school environment. We are incredibly thankful for all they do to keep our school clean, safe, and welcoming.
We wore blue last Monday to help kick off National Anti-Bullying Month. We continue to identify what bullying is, the types of bullying that students are confronted with, and ways for students to report bullying safely. The big theme of the month is to encourage students to serve as upstanders instead of bystanders. Throughout this month, we will continue to remember that it only takes one person to spark a change for the better.
Thank you for allowing us to present this evening. We are now happy to open the floor to any questions, comments, or inquiries you may have. Your feedback and engagement are greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
I'm wondering, who do we see to order a pie?
Dr. Barnes posted the flyers on the Westside Weekly.
Oh, good. We get the West Side Weekly. We get the text message and the email. So, yeah. Oh, West Siders,
Two
you
text messages,
know.
I
We
think,
get
right?
the text message. Okay, we'll look for it. Thank you so much. Any other questions, board members?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
How do you guys like being the student government representatives?
I think, me personally, I think it's awesome to represent our school, and I think it's awesome to just represent our school and to that's it.
Okay. Anyone else want to share? I think it's great. Okay.
I love the opportunity to contribute to make our school better and to just help people. It's nice to feel like you're doing something that benefits something.
That is wonderful. That is great. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was great. If you want, anyone else? They said it.
Oh, they've said
That
it
was
all.
great.
Well,
They
you're
did a great
good-
job.
You're
Thank
a good
you.
team. Thank you so much. You're doing so much over at West Side. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I know. There's so much more to come. Okay. So I'm going to make my remarks now. Good evening. Tonight's agenda will be a review of test results, which will lead nicely into our board work session, which is on October 22nd, later this month. At that time, we will be focusing on board goals, which will include looking at goals focused on increasing our ranking, improving college placement, focus on local versus state oversight of our schools, staffing, class size, overall student experience. While I know I'm going to continue with my remarks, but I think as I just watched people leave, I think it's important to mention that sometimes at the end of the meeting, really important conversations happen. And in our discussion portion tonight, we're going to be talking about New York State's effort to regionalize school districts. So if you are not up for the full meeting, please listen to the recording and tell others too. Also, there's really pretty important information happening right now that could directly affect your children. So please spread the word. Please listen to the meeting. We've been talking as part of our board goals discussion about having an outside consultant conduct a culture survey for us. So that has been added to our discussion for the 22nd. Please keep in mind that while a work session is not the same as an official board meeting like this, the public is welcome to attend. We don't typically have audience to visitor participation at that time, but you're welcome to come and watch the meeting. Last week, I had the pleasure of meeting with the presidents of the Ed Foundation to talk about our continued partnership. As the board liaison to the foundation, I will be attending their next board meeting along with the superintendent and Ms. Costa. We look forward to continuing to work together to bring the best possible education to our students. So, Heather, thank you very much for having coffee with me last week. That was really great. Nice way to kick off the year. I also had the pleasure of, now that all three of my children are in the junior, senior high school, of attending junior and senior high back to school nights and bouncing back and forth between 9th and 11th grades. And one teacher, and I believe it was in the junior high night, said, at Cold Spring Harbor, it's cool to be smart. And I loved that. I think that that's really true. And this message starts at home. Our attendance of parents in the classes that I went to was remarkable. I mean, some rooms were standing room only in the back. And our community is so engaged, and we're really thankful for that. And as a board, we're committed to continuing to focus on bringing rigor to the curriculum. That's for you. And Heather's favorite word.
My favorite word.
And ensure that students are getting the most out of their educational experience. So I will now turn it over to our superintendent for his remarks.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, staff, and community members. Welcome to the October 8th meeting of the Board of Education. We've had a very busy September that has included welcome back picnics and events. All the buildings have held their back to school nights, as you mentioned, Alex, there. School photo days have started, guidance presentations have occurred, and a week of lessons on sacrifice and commitment to freedom and standing up to hate and defend those who need help, culminating in the Remembrance Bowl, has taken place. It was truly a wonderful event, and you saw some of the pictures here earlier that the students from Westside included in their presentation. Tonight we had the privilege to honor our 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program semifinalists and commended students. Their outstanding achievement are a testament to their hard work and dedication. We are proud to celebrate their success. Our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Junior Senior High School Principal will give 3 data presentations scrunched into one tonight. Ms. Lagatuda and Mr. Dambusky will share the results of our 3 through 8 assessments, Regents exam, and advanced placement scores. Tonight's presentation and more in-depth slides will be posted on our website for everyone to view. A little update on our traffic light. The traffic light bid for the junior senior high school Lawrence Hill exit is out with the date of October 29th to open the bids to see who bidded on there. The estimates time to complete the project is anywhere from 4 to 7 months, and apparently the arm or pole where everything hangs off is the thing that takes the longest to fabricate and deliver, so that's what will take the longest. I also want to take the time to address an issue that occurred at the end of last school year. The previous superintendent approved 4 capital project change orders for work at Westside School to refurbish 2 bathrooms without prior review and vote by the Board of Education. Board Policy 7335 capital project change order states that the board authorizes the superintendent of schools, in his or her absence, the assistant superintendent for business, to approve increases and decreases in the planned capital facilities work, also known as change orders, an amount not to exceed $50,000 per change. Change orders which exceed $50,000 will require prior board approval. This policy was not followed regarding the work in for 2 bathrooms at Westside School. 4 change orders were associated with the bathroom work, one exceeding $50,000. The total of 4 change orders was for $106,500. This is not acceptable, and I will assure the Board of Education and the community that I will follow this policy, 7335 capital project change orders to the letter. At the August Board of Education meeting, when a board member inquired about the scope of the change orders on the agenda, Ms. Costa mistakenly stated that the work was for boilers, not for bathrooms. While the correct information about the change orders was included in the attached NYSED document of the board agenda, the project descriptions were not included in the plain sight of the agenda. Going forward, all change orders will follow policy 7335. Also, the agenda resolution will now include a description of the work and the cost of the change order. This new procedure will make it easier for everyone to view each proposed change order, which will also include the cost. I take my responsibility very seriously to keep the Board of Education and community informed on the happenings within the district. October has all the celebrations to go over here. October, we celebrate 2 very important groups who are dedicated to Cold Spring Harbor. First, October is also known as National Principals Month. I want to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to the incredible leaders at our helm of our schools. Principals are the heart of our educational communities. They set the tone, foster a positive learning environment, and ensure that both staff and students have the support they need to thrive. A great principal does more than just manage a building. They lead with vision, empathy, and dedication, guiding teachers, students, and families towards shared goals of success. They navigate challenges with grace, celebrate victories with pride, and create a space where growth, learning, and collaboration flourish. Thank you, building principals. October is also Board of Education Appreciation Month. It is important to recognize the crucial role a Board of Education plays in shaping the future of our schools. Board of Education Appreciation Month is a time to dedicate the selfless individuals who dedicate countless hours to ensuring our students receive the best education possible. Their decisions impact every aspect of school life, from setting policies and goals to guiding our financial priorities. Their commitment to our students, staff, and community exemplifies student, staff, and community service and leadership. Let's take this opportunity to express our gratitude and support their vital work. Ms. Reichler, from the president of the CPC, please come up and make your presentation. I'm sorry, Ms. Reichler.
That's okay, but you
Star Trek
stole
on the
my
mind.
thunder, Mr. Monastero. I can just cut out half of my speech. Okay. Hello, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Erin Reckler, and I currently serve as the chair of the Cold Spring Harbor Central School District Central Parents Council. Next week, New York State School Board Association celebrates School Board Appreciation Week and Appreciation Month. So tonight, we'd like to take a moment to recognize our 7 school board trustees who continuously serve our students in our community. I think it's safe to say that most don't realize the amount of time and effort a trustee dedicates to this position, working alongside our district administration to hire exceptional administration and staff, establish annual board goals, set policies, put forth an annual school budget. That's just naming a few. They somehow squeeze 30 hours into a 24-hour day while simultaneously managing homes, careers, and squeezing in family time. So besides our little token of appreciation, we thought it might be fun to ask your families how they really feel about having a parent serve on the Board of Education. And they didn't hold back. You must be very proud of them. One hinted that they would like to experience a school event with their friends without their parent there. So just putting it out there. But some other ones. Quote, I think it's good to see them help improve our school. It is hard work and takes a lot of my parents' time because it is a big commitment. Another one said, I think it's useful because I can share thoughts and ideas with my mom so she can consider talking about them in an upcoming board meeting. Another child commented, I enjoy having my parent on the Board of Education because I'm able to talk to them about how I feel about certain things that could be changed within the school to improve the school and make the students happier. And finally, thank you for always being there for me as well as our community. Your dedication as a mother truly knows no bounds. As a member of our school board, you are constantly working towards your goal of improving our school. I love you, Mom, and truly appreciate your service. Alex, Heather, Bruce, Bill, Lisa, Kate, and Mark, thank you so much for your service and commitment to our community.
We also have certificates from Western Suffolk BOCES for each of the board members.
So sweet. Thank you. Oh, here, should we do a picture? Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
That was my child who doesn't like that I attend school.
They were anonymous.
I know,
We know who our children were.
we're going to get Aaron to tell us whose child said that very nice thing about their mother, though. They get an extra treat at Sandbar. Extra cookie for you. Okay. Thank you. That was so nice. It's nice to.
recognized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
well
whole
deserved.
community. I mean, I say it all the time to these people, but we love you guys too. So thank you. No, that's right. It's not thankless today. That's so nice. Except for if you're Lisa. No, I'm just kidding. Lisa, did you want to take the opportunity to sell some sweatshirts? Or?
That's right.
If anybody is still looking to purchase a Remembrance Bowl sweatshirt, hat, or jersey, I've got plenty.
Right, so
just
Dr.
hit me
Barnes is
up.
selling pies, you're selling sweatshirts. You can get it all here tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, back to our agenda. So we have two presentations. The first presentation is from our audit firm. Less exciting than pies and sweatshirts. R&S Abrams and Co. They will be, sorry guys, very exciting. I'm just kidding. Brendan, you always make it fun. Yes.
He would look at the Remembrance Bowl.
Lisa's going to try to sell you a hat now. Okay. They will be preparing our financial statements for the year ending in June 30, 2024. Mr. Brendan Nelson is a partner at the firm, and he will give us the update.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I have put together a brief summary here to summarize the recently completed financial statement audit. I do want to preface it by saying we did meet with the audit committee last week on October 1st. We went over the financial statements, the other documents that we are issuing in detail to answer any questions or comments that they may have had. So there are 4 total documents that we issue, just like any other year. There's your basic financial statements, a separate financial statement for your extra classroom activities, so these student club accounts, and then there are 2 communication letters that we issue as well. So to start off, the district is receiving what's referred to as an unmodified opinion on both the basic financial statements as well as those extra classroom activity fund financial statements. What does that mean? That's essentially what's referred to as a clean opinion, so we came across nothing that would have prevented us from being able to issue such an opinion. So basically, it's the best opinion you can get as a local government. We did not identify any issues in the district's internal controls or any deficiencies. So as part of that management letter, that is the communication letter that we would issue to communicate any internal control deficiencies or recommendations that we had. So we are happy to report that the district is receiving a clean management letter. There was nothing to report. And there were 2 comments from last year, both of which have been implemented in the 23-24 year. Moving along, the district's general fund, this is their main operating fund that abides by your annual voter-approved budget. The general fund did end the year, so June 30th, 24, with an unassigned fund balance of $3.228 million. Your unassigned fund balance is essentially your rainy day savings. That's the amount that you can stash away that can be used for any unforeseen expenditures or state aid shortfalls, things like that. And we do want to point out that that amount is 4% of the 24-25 budget, which is the maximum amount allowed under New York State property tax law. So a good financial indicator when we see that a district can maintain that 4% level. And then lastly, in total, the district's general fund balance did decrease about $8.2 million, but that was mainly just due to those two large CVA settlements that were paid out during the year. So all in all, the district's books were in great shape. We do want to thank Christine Costa and her team in the business office. They had everything ready for us extremely timely this year, which helps to facilitate just a smooth and efficient audit. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to entertain them.
The board will accept the reports that Brendan's referring to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan.
Do we have a hand up? Do we want to
Oh,
take that?
yes.
What's our unfunded pension liability now?
Your proportionate share of your net pension liability for the two systems, I can tell you. And just to provide some background, so every school district in New York State does pick up their proportionate share of each of those pension systems. So each year there's an actuarial valuation done by the pension systems auditors to determine whether or not each of those pension systems are underfunded or overfunded. So for 23-24, both pension systems were underfunded. And give me 1 second. So for the employees' retirement system, the district has a net pension liability proportionate share of $2.3 million, and then for the teachers' retirement system, $1.7 million.
Thank you.
The pension systems you can. So the district does have reserves established for the one for the ERS and one for TRS. The one that you can't reserve for is for the OPEB, other post-employment benefits valuation. So there's currently no method to fund that liability in New York State as of right now. There's been people advocating for it, but as of now, no.
And what's that balance?
Your, again, just to provide some background, your other post-employment benefits obligation is another valuation that's done. The district contracts with an outside actuary to put together this valuation, and it's essentially an estimate of what the total cost is for the district to provide health insurance costs to all of their active employees as well as their retirees in accordance with those bargaining unit agreements, so into perpetuity essentially for the remainder of their lives. So that liability as of June 30th was a little over $82 million.
You said there's a 3.2 million rainy day fund?
That's your unassigned fund balance in general fund.
Is that restricted in any way or can be used on any?
Can be used on anything. So that is whatever's left over that is not restricted, assigned, or committed to any other purpose.
Thank you.
Sorry, what were the amounts that were put into the other funds that are specifically set aside for like pension, et cetera? So like, I forget what the number was, but we had other excess money that we assigned to those specific
400,000.
funds, right?
I believe it was around, I'll tell you in 1 second the exact numbers. I think it was
I think
around
it was 400.
Yeah.
4.9 million that you were
4.9
able to
million?
put
Oh,
into.
oh, not the $400,000 transfer, but 4.9 million total, okay.
So if you want the specifics for each reserve, give me 1 second. So the total amount was 4.971 million. So 400,000 went into your EBLR reserve. That's a reserve that can be used for retirement payouts that are tied to unused days. 400,000 went into your employee retirement system for that pension system. Another 400,000 went into the teacher's retirement system. 3.5 million went into your capital reserve. So that is a reserve established for future capital projects. That does require voter approval to use. And then lastly, 271,000 went into your workers' compensation liability that could be used for workers' comp claims.
Thank you.
So to end up with the 3.2, what has to happen for that money to become a rainy day fund? Meaning it just wasn't spent on what was budgeted?
Correct, in a sense. So that is essentially after the district funded these reserve fund balances for that 4.9 million, that was the excess. So after that, they were able to bring down their unassigned available fund balance down to that 4% maximum limit, which is that $3.228 million.
But, Mark, that's like a number we choose, I guess, based on recommendations, and what was it, June, that we approved the funds? Or
Well,
was
the
it
number that
July?
Mark is speaking about is the statutory maximum that the state allows us to have undesignated, but we always are at 4%. So each year, we really only can fund it the difference of the growth in our budget. So you can do 4% of the ensuing year's budget. So every year, we already have 4% in there, and we can only add a little bit more because it's already fully funded. So the difference we can add every year is just another 4% of the growth of our budget. So if our budget was 75 million one year and 77 million the next year, it's really only the growth from 75 to 77 million. You can add a little bit more to that. But we've always been at 4% pretty much for forever, you know, a long time at this district.
And are we trying to build a rainy day budget, or it just ends up that way?
That's the statutory, that's the maximum you can have by law. And that just means that if something was to happen in the district that we didn't have a source for, so let's say a tree went down in the high school and put a hole in the roof, and we did not have enough money in the budget to fix it, and it was $1 million. The board can take an action to appropriate $1 million out of that 3.2 million for an unanticipated item that occurred. We are the only government agency that is statutorily limited to 4%. All other government agencies can go above 4% for rainy day funds, except school districts.
But
Just a
is that
tidbit.
part of the planning process, we're trying to build rainy day funds, or if we just happen to have?
Every district has.
Yeah, and it's actually a sign of fiscal strength when we go
What
out
you
and
wanted.
borrow for TANs and bonds and notes, that we are at the statutory maximum for a rainy day event, for something that unplanned that occurs. So that is a target most fiscally healthy districts meet that
You're
target.
trying to hit, okay.
You want to
thank
be there all the time.
Understood.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Great seeing everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a clap for the auditors.
Yeah,
Nobody claps for the auditors.
there we go. We're friendly.
We're friendly.
Okay, so our next presentation is our New York State grade 3 through 8 ELA and math test results, as well as Regents and AP results. So Ms. Lagatuda, come on up.
Thank you. Still doing your tech thing. No, it's because it's through Joe's account. All right, well, we can't put it in present mode. Is this large enough for everyone to see? Is this okay? Okay, great. Sorry about that. All right, so as Mr. Monastero shared, we have, if you have some time, 3 more comprehensive presentations of all 3 of the assessments. We are going to do an abridged version tonight, just to give you a little taste of each one, the highlights of each of our assessments. We're going to start with grades 3 through 8. We have much to celebrate, and of course, there's always room for improvement, so we'll be discussing both. The first slide that we're going to get to, there we go. This is really a basic overview of combined 3 through 8 for ELA and math. We're going to get more specific as we go along. So we can see basically the growth of the combined percentages. So you can see that ELA remained relatively flat from 2023 to 2024, whereas math has a slight increase. We're going to dive deeper to see what has attributed to either remaining at a plateau, and the slight increase for math. So this slide shows the comparison of each of our grade levels now, the proficiency. Proficiency is for students who score a 3 or 4, a level 3 or 4. And in the light green, you'll see the New York State percentages. Again, I apologize that it's small. I'm not sure if I could even enlarge this. A little bit better. So you'll notice that across, as we look at all of our grade levels, we'll look at the blue bars first. We see that we're a little bit lower with our proficiency rates in grades 5 and 6 for ELA, in addition to grade 3. And again, there's more to the story. And also thinking about what did the exams look like as well. And our teachers are diving into those reports to look at the gap analyses. You'll notice, though, in the state, as you look at the light green, that our lower proficiency rates are mirroring those of New York State. So similarly for grades 5 and 6, in New York State, you'll see lower percentages, and the same thing with grade 3. Also, you'll see is just a little snippet from Newsday. Some of you may have noticed an article on September 17th in Newsday, which referenced the state assessments. In particular, they noted that there had been a decrease across the state in all but grade 7, all of the grade levels but 7 for ELA. And so that's what that chart is showing there. As we take a deeper look, this particular slide shows now each of our grade levels and how their partners did the year before and the year before. So this is just a snapshot of several years for each grade level. And the grade that we were most worried about going into 23-24, if you recall, was grade 4. Grade 4 at the end of the prior school year ended at a 68% proficiency rate for ELA. You can see here grade 4. That was when they were grade 3. Grade 4 was at an 81% proficiency rate, which was a significant improvement. It's a grade that we were targeting this year. You can see that there are 2 areas highlighted that are of concern. Taking a deeper look, we can see that grade 5 was lower compared to the prior year, significantly, and the same thing with grade 6. But that's comparing grade 5 to grade 5 from the prior year. So it's important that we look at the cohort data because, again, when you look at the cohort data, that might be an increase for a particular cohort. So we're going to take a look at that. You'll also notice there is a shaded area in light blue. Just a reminder to everyone that our students were only counted as the multiple choice questions for that year. So it's difficult to compare all of our prior years to that year, being that the exam was different and it was only the multiple choice. In looking at the cohorts, so this is for grade 4, currently our grade 5 students, we can see that, and again, this was the grade that I was referencing that we were very concerned about, a big jump for them from their prior performance. So again, they were the cohort the prior year of grade 3 with the 68 proficiency rate and now at an 81%. So again, more room for improvement, but an incredible increase. When we look at the grades that I referenced before that were highlighted in yellow, the grades that we now need to take a deeper dive into. So this would be grades 5 and 6 that I was talking to you about before. This is still for ELA. And we can see here for grade 5, our current 6th graders, that the prior year, they were at an 80% proficiency rate, and they did drop to 70%. For grade 6, our current 7th grade students, they're relatively plateauing. It did decrease by a percentage point, so not as concerning. However, grade 5, definitely a big dip there. One other thing that we were talking about as a team, and again, this could be attributed to several variables, but I do want to remind everyone, but this was our first year for our 5th and 6th graders for CBT. This is the first year that they did take their assessments through computer-based testing. Not to say that that was the cause, but I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. Lisa?
Those numbers under, like, so class of 2031, under the 70, 80, and 77. Oh, sorry. Okay. So we don't have the numbers of students that took the exams?
You, on the full reports, you do. So if you go to the extended, the more comprehensive report, all of the enrollments are there. And you'll also see the comparisons to, I know I showed you the comparison to New York State, but there's also a comparison to Suffolk. Did you want me to bring up the other presentation?
No, you answered it.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was looking at it, yeah.
Gotcha.
We're good.
Gotcha, okay. So again, mentioning the CBT, I just want to mention too that this was a dip across the state, but for us, a significant one. And we're still looking into other factors that could have contributed, looking at specific standards. Our teachers have been reviewing at their faculty meetings, grade level meetings, diving in deeply, not only to their own classes from the prior year, but just as a building as well, and honing in on the areas that they would need to focus on for this year. The next, yes, Lisa?
Okay, I know. So was there a significant change? I mean, I can see how many students took the test in 2024. Was there a significant change between how many, like, was there maybe a loss of kids, an increase of kids in that grade? Like, is that something that's maybe?
Well, we have smaller cohorts in general. So if we have, that's going to greatly affect the percentage rates of our school in particular compared to other schools.
Right.
So, you know, for us to not have 1 or 2 students missing a test is going to drastically, it could change the percentage more drastically than another district.
Right, so that's like some of the stuff that you're looking into. As
Absolutely, yes. The enrollment number certainly makes a difference, especially when we're being compared to other districts that have larger quantities of students. We can see for 8th and 9th grade, I should say for 7th and 8th, currently our 8th and 9th grade, as you look at their cohort data. So for example, for grade 7, their proficiency rate was at 93%. They were 91% the prior year when they were in 6th grade, and 79% proficiency rate for 5th grade, and so on and so forth. You'll see for grade 4, that's the one that's grayed out, because again, only scores that were counted were those of the multiple choice. So again, it is grayed out. It can't really be compared. Like exactly. Well, it was after COVID, but that was there. And I will remind everyone too that students recognize the questions on the test, because they did use already released questions for that exam. So students who had been practicing and reviewing for the exam, wow, these looked familiar. We've seen these before. So not only was it just the multiple choice that was counted, it was also questions that the students, many of them, had seen before.
They should have done better than 79.
Well, that was the 90. That's when they scored the 93. For the.
I'm looking at the 9th graders.
Oh, true. Yes.
Yeah.
With you there.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So moving on to mathematics, similar. We have each of the grade levels broken down, as you can see there, compared to New York State. And similarly, you can see that our dips in our grade levels mirror those of New York State. I'm sure that you recall, and I've mentioned this before, that there typically is a dip. If you look at the comprehensive presentation where there's a nice looking graph there, you will see the common 5th grade dip. So we know that Fifth grade is challenging for students with the hormone levels. We have puberty happening, a lot of changes, great things happening, but it's also a challenging year math-wise. It's heavy duty into fractions, and so I just want everyone to keep that in mind as well. Also, our first year with CBT for the math exam, keep that in mind. So in looking, I don't know if you had any questions there. In looking then just years back, so again, this is, you see the numbers on the left-hand side. Those are the percentages that you just saw on the prior slide. And then just moving down in the other years so we can see a comparison. And we can see here a couple of things that stand out. I mean, overall, we can see significant gains across some of our grade levels. You can see in grade 3, an improvement from the prior grade 3. We will also look at the cohort data, but what stands out to us here on this particular slide is grade 6. We see a dip from this particular grade 6 compared to grade 6 in the prior year, going from 94% to 83%. Something to note there is possibly an explanation. There was a letter sent home to 6th grade families, so I just want to remind, I know the board is aware of this already, but those of you in the community may not be aware, but we did have proctors give the children access to calculators during this exam when they were not permitted to use calculators. We did petition to the state if we could still move forward and count some of their scoring, and the answer was no. And just to, in speaking with the teachers of those exams, they expressed some confusion about the fact that they were able to, in the practice tests, utilize a calculator for the entirety of the exam, and yet they were being limited for the actual state exam. So I just wanted to put that out there, that the data is mainly representative of just Lloyd Harbor. And so I'm not sure what that number would have looked like, but if we also had the West Side data, that point may have been different. So I just wanted to point that out. As we look at the cohort data, we can see for grade 4, in grade 3, they achieved an 83% proficiency rate, significant gains for 4th grade. Again, there's so much to celebrate. Grade 5, we talked about the dip. Went from 92 when they were 4th graders, 92% proficiency, dropping down to an 86. So again, is it CBT? Was it something with the test? We're still looking into, the other variables that would have contributed to that. You can see for grade 6 what I talked about. Let me get to the next slide. So grade 6, you'll see here. This is the one that says mainly Lloyd Harbor. This is the one that I was referring to on that prior slide with respect to the calculators. Okay, we can see for our 7th and 8th grade cohorts, they're doing exceptionally well. We see 7th grade went from a 94% proficiency rate to a 95, and 8th grade, we have a lot to celebrate. Just here on this page, in addition to other things that we've mentioned, but I have to give a shout out to grade 8. So grade 8, as you know, for mathematics, we have approximately half of our students who take algebra and half who are enrolled in Math 8. And for those of you who have been tracking the progress of our 8th graders who take the New York State assessment, this is an incredible result. You can see that it's in line with their cohort data, so that's great. But if you look at, I'm just going to go back, I have to make this point. Just back to this slide, you can see grade 8, as you look at prior grade 8, what an incredible accomplishment that is. And that is something worth celebrating. So kudos to our teachers, to our students, to our families who have been supporting the students at home, but that is incredible.
So I have a question. When we see these wonderful increases, is that the school changing the way they are teaching the kids, and if so, how, in what way?
So that was a great segue.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
You should make presentations.
So listen, I think that there are many contributing factors here. One, the students, of course. our teachers who are supporting them along the way, again, families, as I mentioned. But these are some of the action steps that we have been taking over the past several years and hope to continue. So we have, obviously, as I mentioned before, our teachers are continuing to analyze the data. One of our big initiatives this year as well as last year is we have a literacy training that's happening throughout the district. We're working with consultants, Jennifer Saravallo, for grades K through 8. We focused on grades 3 through 6 last year. So this year, and grades 3 through 6 are continuing. And what that means is we're focusing on small group instruction, differentiated instruction. So teachers are working with these consultants to better utilize the small instruction time. They're using data that they're gaining from something called an assessment conference. So they're having one-on-one conferences with students to get an understanding of where they fall on this hierarchy leading to reading comprehension. And this way they're able to identify specific skills where students are struggling, and those are the skills that they're addressing during the small group instruction. So that's been an incredible initiative. We also shifted to standards-based benchmarks in mathematics. So one of the concerns we heard when we arrived here is, you know, West Side's doing something different than Lloyd Harbor. So we're trying to get some, make sure that we have similar assessments going on in both buildings to hold both buildings to the same standard. So we've moved towards benchmark assessments. They're standards-based assessment. It's not based on an Envision math program, for example. These are standards-based questions. And both schools are utilizing these benchmark assessments, and this way they're getting to the same place at the same time. That's another thing we put in place. I want to remind everyone that we did allocate more time to mathematics. When we arrived, there were 40 minutes devoted to math at the elementary level. We've increased that to at least 60 minutes. So it's at least 60 minutes. It could be, we'd love 80, but it could be 60 minutes one day, and they could spend a little bit more time on another. It could be a 40-minute period and then a double period the next day. So they have flexibility depending on the needs as to how they utilize that time. We are also, we have ongoing professional learning that I talked about. We also have a literacy coach. So in terms of supporting our teachers between the work with the consultants, we have a literacy coach who helps the teachers. That she may model, she may co-teach with them, but she has been incredible in supporting our students, in supporting our teachers to support our students. I'm going to move right along unless there were other questions to AP.
I just had a quick question. How much time is devoted to ELA? What's that block? If the math block is 60 minutes?
So, good question. So ELA has a double block, not necessarily that they're adjacent to one another, but it's 80 minutes plus 20 minutes in the morning to foundations. So about 100 minutes each day devoted to literacy. In addition to, we try to embed in other ways interdisciplinary opportunities for reading and writing through library. So every grade level now at the elementary level has a library period, for example. So during library, they have opportunities for research. That's more reading, that's more writing. So literacy is also embedded in other areas throughout the day. But I will say that sole time devoted to literacy is about 100 minutes each day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, AP results. This is another, I'm going, Mr. Monastero.
Did you want to try full screen? Is that what it is?
Oh, sorry. There we go, Mr. Monastero.
I wasn't sure why you said okay.
You know what it was? I was looking for present mode. So this is much better, thank you. So this is another slide. Again, a shout out has to go here. We see at the top, this is how, by the way, we're shifting to AP, everyone. This is how our students have been faring on AP exams. And worth noting, we see the dark blue bar of 78%. So we had 78% of our AP students get proficiency on their AP exams. That so far has been the highest with the exception of COVID. You'll notice the gray bar that you see there. There were still exams in 2020. However, they were abbreviated exams, so it's very challenging to compare the current exams to that particular exam. But I do want to add the chart at the bottom, and I know that's small, but I do want to highlight a couple of things that go hand in hand with that chart. We see if you look at the top row for 2024, the total AP students, we have 314, a little bit less than the prior year. But if you look at the number of exams taken, 946. You know, and you're going to see a slide later on that breaks that down even further. But that is about on average that each student is taking about 3 AP exams. In the prior year, it was 2 to 3. So some students had 2, some students had 3 on average. But it's incredible with what our students here in Cold Spring Harbor, we think about the well-rounded child. Our students are involved in extracurricular activities, including athletics. They're taking, on average, 3 AP exams, and what they were able to achieve is incredible. So I'm celebrating our students with these results. Yes, we still have work to go, and we're going to take a look at that too. There is always room for improvement, and we're going to take a look at specific areas where we can get this up even further. Yes.
So is there any way, do you have the data, is it in these more detailed packs, how that 78 looks to the area schools?
Great question. So we don't have that data yet. So that is, we have to wait till that's posted on the New York State Education Department website.
Okay.
And so what I will do is when I have that information, I will share with the board, and probably in a Friday notes, an update of the comparative data, or if you prefer, we could do a full-blown presentation.
Do we have that data for last year? Like
for the
2023 for comparatives as compared to our schools?
Yes. I believe I did a presentation. I'll reshare, but I believe that we presented that one, and if not, it would be shared with you, but I will reshare it in this Friday notes.
Thanks.
Yeah, because I think that it always comes out too late for this meeting, so maybe it would be helpful to have that in addition. If we could have it before our workshop or work session on the 22nd.
You mean for the ones from last year?
Yeah, if you have the presentation
Sure.
from last year, if you don't mind just like resending it to
No
us, and then we
problem.
can look at it. That would be helpful for the purpose of discussion. Thanks, Jen.
And then when we get the data for this particular data, I'll share that as well. And then you let me know if you want to do a presentation.
Right, and the same question for ELA and the math, because the numbers are certainly, a lot of them going in the right direction, but in a vacuum, it's tough to tell if, how exceptional or not they are.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so these next slides, just to try to, and I know we're moving along, so I tried to get as many AP courses on the slide and just giving everyone a quick indication as to how our students did compared to the prior year. If you look at the full presentation, you will see a more extensive analysis where it goes back several years for each course. So if you want to have the other presentation open as well. But in terms of the ones that keep coming up that we are looking to improve, or they're falling short, we're looking to improve and support our teachers. Biology, for example, has come up in prior years as an area of needing growth. And so another thing that we have been working on is building capacity in the departments. And what that means is we're trying to strengthen the level of expertise within each department. If we only have one person, for example, who is, the knower of the AP course, it's a struggle. Number one, that person's working alone, and then if that person wasn't available, who else is capable of teaching that course? So there have been some shifts that we've been making, and bio is one of them. We're adding new AP teachers to the course, which means that they're working with someone else. We firmly believe that the collaboration piece is important, which is why we also instituted AP collegial circles, inviting other school districts here so that our teachers could have the benefit of working with other colleagues who teach the same course. So you'll see that shift in biology where we have someone new added to the course, and Calc AB as well. That's another area where there's certainly room for improvement, and there has been improvement. If you look at the slides, you will see that the AP Calc AB has been going up. Other important things to note on this slide, if you look at the bottom with the other exams. Whoops, let me get to that slide.
Jen, is it possible to also see this, how many get 4 and how many get 5 on their, not just a 3 and up, but how many are doing above that?
Sure, like a breakdown of each of their scores.
Yeah, just the
A frequency
percentage of
chart, yep.
students. Yeah, yeah, that would be helpful to know
Sure.
too, yeah.
For the next set of exams, the ones that we, again, there's room for improvement over several areas, but the one that I'm going to talk about next, world languages, you'll notice French and Spanish we've had our eyes on. So again, in terms of building capacity, we're either adding a teacher to the course, again, for collaboration and support. We have our AP Summer Institutes. Anyone who is new to an AP course, certainly they're qualified, however, we want to make sure that they're supported. So they're required to attend an AP Summer Institute. And in terms of the world languages, French and Spanish, I've been working closely with the chairperson. She's been doing a wonderful job of trying to build capacity, not just within the department, but in terms of the courses leading up to that exam. As we all know, the AP exam is not just in isolation for that year. That is the culminating exam of the work leading up to that year. So one thing that the World Languages Department has done over the summer is they rewrote it was formerly called the FLAX exams or the checkpoint exams. So they actually rewrote the checkpoint B exams to start with to increase the rigor. We love the word rigor, so increasing the rigor, and so that's setting the expectation. So increasing the rigor of all of the courses leading up to those AP courses, we're hoping will make the difference, in addition to building capacity amongst the teachers.
I had a question with something in line with that. In an eye towards building up the rigor, has there been any consideration of perhaps doing something with the other courses like we did with pre-algebra for our junior high students, so that students who may be stronger in the humanities could also have a chance to take an enhanced class that could better prepare them to maybe taking more challenging high school classes and giving them a ramp to do that?
Yes. So and I don't want to give too much away right now because we do have our new courses presentation that we do typically in November. But yes, I've been working with the directors to additionally find ways to have pathways. Again, we would keep it open to all students. We believe in open enrollment. We believe that everyone should have an opportunity, but creating additional pathways for more rigorous coursework. We are looking into that. But I don't want to say yet
Great.
what we're planning, but we have some things in the works.
Great.
Any other questions on that slide? All right, and then another thing to note here on this one, statistics, I have to give a shout out. This was the teacher's first year doing AP stats. So that went, as you can see, last year was a 74 proficiency rate and 88. So incredible results there for the students and the teacher. You also see a significant jump, another shout out here for U.S. government and politics. From 45% the prior year to an 81%. So as I said, we have much to celebrate, but we still have work to do as we've been working on with the staff. All right, this slide, I sort of mentioned this in the beginning. This is just a deeper view. We have probably one of the highest participation rates across schools on Long Island. That is another analysis that we had done in a prior presentation. So this is you see the 3.01 that I mentioned before. We had 946 AP exams by our students, by the 314 students. So on average, that's about 3 per student. So truly incredible. One other thing to note is we had more 10th grade students the past year taking, you can see the percentage there, went from 72.39% the prior year to 77, so a slight increase for our 10th graders, and grade 12 remains relatively the same. It was 91.87 and then to a 90.3. Any questions?
Yeah, Jen, when looking at the results, I know you're already doing this, but I'm just bringing it up because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. But are you looking also at class size and how that's relating to the results? I know I always go back to the Algebra 1 classes being really big with the assumption that some kids might drop and that we might be better served having everyone do it and just have smaller classes, and then everyone could get the help that they need to succeed. So in some of these classes, since we do have open enrollment, and since I have a deep belief that children with the right support can be really successful, I'm just wondering if it's worthwhile to look at some of the areas where maybe, given the content, the subject content, would it be better to have smaller sections? The same with the French. I know in one of the French sections, 11th grade, French honors and standard French have been combined for the last few years. So
Great
that
question.
puts a teacher a little bit at
Yes.
odds with teaching a rigorous curriculum, right? So yeah. Okay.
Great question. So yes, we are certainly keeping an eye on the enrollments and how those class sizes impact results. So it was either last year or the year before, I did an analysis of at the elementary level. This is when we were having the discussion about class sizes at the elementary level. and
Right.
Right? So I did an analysis, and I'm still doing it for the upper grades as well. But one thing that we were finding is it really wasn't showing a trend, not to say it wouldn't be the case for certain classes like you're mentioning, but we were seeing in some cases where the class was larger and their performance was higher than the smaller class. But again, there are so many variables that can attribute to that. But I can certainly work on an in-depth study such as that for our secondary level.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and you've done so much here, so sorry to ask you another detailed question, but I'm just curious, in some of those subjects where we're really seeing kids struggle year over year, and I know we're looking at curriculum and review and all of that, but also would we be better served maybe just having 3 sections instead of 2 or something, as we're
Absolutely.
about to enter budget season again. I mean, I can't believe it, but here we are. Okay.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I will complete that analysis and share with you.
Just curious, what's the upper end on the high school for a class size that you're comfortable with?
On the upper, the secondary, I would say it depends on the class, right? Because art's going to look different than math, for example. So that's a trick question. So I would say it depends on the course.
Yeah. No, I wasn't trying to trick you, just at back to school night. One class was pretty crowded, and I think there were 28 students in that class.
I will say, though, that's few, and Mr. Dambusky can speak to this, but I would say, and you could back me up, we have relatively small class sizes. Yes, we have some, I agree with you, at 28. I think 28 is high, in my opinion. I think that's high.
Right.
We think about the grading of papers, right? So I also have the teacher lens. I'm a 30-year educator. I remember the days of grading and, just thinking of that perspective, right? And the more students you have, and each of your students needs attention in some way, shape, or form. So 28 is high. You're not going to peg me down for a specific number because, as I said, it really would depend on the course. But I would say if we could keep it to the low 20s, I think is reasonable for most courses. How about that?
Very good, thank you.
And Mark, I'll say, someone who used to build a master schedule at the junior, senior high school, being a small school, sometimes it's challenging because there are not very many options. You may only have 1 or 2 or 3 sections to put a child in, and sometimes just the way their pattern runs, that's where they fall. We do work very hard and put a lot of time into rebalancing. That's why we spend a lot of time making sure to get those requests early on, share with everybody. So when we talk and send out emails to parents and the students saying, please check this, make sure this is what you want. We don't want to do those changes. For us, you could see in the 10th grade, 5 or 6 kids is 5 or 6% change. And that can be a huge change in the class size. So we really work hard We want the students to pick and select the classes they want, and we want accurate data when building the schedule. So,
Okay.
you know, some other school district, you know, Syosset may have 30 sections of English 9. We have 3 or 4, and then maybe an honors or an AP at a different level. So it can be challenging at times.
Very good. And the last question is, to Alex's point on the way we're cutting the data, we were going 3 and above. But when I talked to a few teachers about the AP, they were talking percentage of 4 and 5 above. They consider that more of a gold standard. But that aside, is 3 and above the customary way to look at that data when evaluating? Is that
It is, and that's how Newsday reports
All
out
right.
on it as well, so in terms of comparison. But to the questions that were raised, I will provide a breakdown of,
And if you're doing it and trying to get college credit, that's where
of course, the 5 is,
Right.
yeah, they're not
fours
taking,
and fives are
they're
what you
not
want. You
usually
don't- the
taking
3 is
3s,
great,
maybe
but
a
it's
4
not
every
great.
now
Yes,
and then.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
4
It's
may
good.
get you out of freshman English or something. but right,
Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Just-
good to see that.
Important.
2 quick point. One thing I forgot to mention with the world languages, we also have a retiree from the world languages department working closely with our French teachers. So I just wanted to add that in as another support system. And the other thing, just to remind everyone, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but in terms of what we value here in Cold Spring Harbor, we value exposure and we value achievement. So and that's why, you know, we have open enrollment. We believe in offering our students the opportunity. They may decide to stay in a more challenging course and get the 70 or, you know, or get the 80. So, you know, we applaud that for our students and we welcome. We just want every student to have their best fit. So without further ado, Mr. Dambusky will walk you through the Regents exam and then we'll talk about some steps that we're continuing to take.
Thank you.
Thank you.